Have you lost sight of your goals that you scheduled for yourself for the new year? Well, I like to call it my plan of action for the new year, but many people call it New Year's goals. The goals that you wrote down, you set for yourself to follow through on throughout this year. Have you slacked off a bit? Have you forgotten about them and put them off to the side because maybe you were weighed down by all the stuff and you were pulled in many different directions because of life's demands and you completely put your goals to the side? If that's you, that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm Alice Giroux, therapist and life design coach. I love helping women organize their lives around peace, purpose, and productivity. So let's talk about it. How do you get realigned with your goals? If you never scheduled any goals or set any goals for yourself for this year, it's totally okay. It's never too late to get started. You can join in on the discussion as well. So, whether you set your goals for the year or you never did, it doesn't matter. First, let's identify what are three big goals that you would love to get accomplished in the year. It is July. We have 6 months left in the year. It is not too late to get started. There are still many things that you can get accomplished. So let's keep it super simple. Think about three big goals that you would like to accomplish in the next 6 months, whatever that may be for you. I encourage you to get pen and paper or digital device, write it down or type it, and think about what that may be for you. And I'll just throw out a few. Some common ones often is to get back in shape, whether it's to lose weight, gain weight, increase energy, feel better by working out, moving more, um, cleaning out your home, clearing out your closet, paying off debt. That's always a big one. Increasing your finances, whatever it may be. Spend more time with your wife or your husband, spend more quality time with your kids. You pick what your goals are. What's the most important thing to you that you would love to get accomplished in the next 6 months? So take some time to think about it. You don't have to figure it out all in one day. One, two, three goals, and write it down on paper. Okay, now once you've identified three goals, then think about what are some potential barriers that could prevent you from accomplishing those goals. So let's say you did set goals at the beginning of the year, but you kind of slacked off for whatever reason. Regardless of the reason, think about, well, what were the barriers that hindered you from moving forward on the goals? Be honest with yourself. If, let's say you ended up working a lot and you just couldn't find the time to get that one thing done that you needed to do every day or a couple of times a week to make that goal happen, whatever it is, identify what the barrier is, list it off. It may be one thing or it may be a number of things. List out what that barrier is, what prevented you from fulfilling the goal. Now, if you never scheduled or never set any goals for yourself, think about the goal that you wrote down for yourself. What are some potential barriers that could prevent you from moving forward, that could get in the way? Oftentimes there are obstacles. It's interesting how life works. Whenever we decide to move forward on something that's good for us, that's healthy for us, typically an obstacle of some sort will jump in the way, right? So you want to be prepared for it. Now, obstacles can be crossed over, can be moved to the side. It is not easy often, but you want to be mentally prepared for any obstacles that may potentially come your way. That way, you're more prepared and you're not thrown off and you're not put off completely off guard. So identify what the barriers may be. Once you identify what that is, then decide, okay, well, when this thing comes or gets in the way, this is what I'll do. What is your plan to overcome the barrier? All right? So identify your three goals, identify the potential barriers, and then identify your plan to overcome the barrier. Got it? Okay. Next is, and I would say probably the most important piece is accountability. We all need some level of accountability. So, first, I would say writing it down, posting it up on paper, putting it up on your refrigerator, on your door, somewhere where you have access, where you will be forced to see your goals every day. I like to take a big poster sheet and plaster it on my wall so I have no other choice but to see my goals every day. Or you can even put it on your desktop as your wallpaper. But you can get creative with it. Use post-it notes. I'm addicted to post-it notes. I put them on my bathroom mirror as well. Whatever works for you, but put it up somewhere where you will be forced to see your goals so that you're reminded, oh yeah, this is what I'm working on today. Oh yeah, this is what I'm working on this week. So post your goals. That's a small way of holding yourself accountable. Now you've written it down. Now your brain is forced to get aligned with you, and along with helping you find those resources that you need to make that goal a reality. Write it down. The next thing I recommend that you do is maybe find a friend or even a community, a small group of people that are positive. That's most important. People that you know will help propel you forward, will challenge you, will push you, will remind you, hey, didn't you say this is what you wanted to accomplish? Okay, well, let's get going. So, on those days that you are feeling weak and you don't really feel like following through, you have a group of people, or it could be just one friend that can help push you and say, hey, let's get going. It's time to move on that thing that you said you wanted to fulfill. So let's follow through on the commitment. So the accountability piece is really important. And then the final step is you just do it. That's the Nike slogan. Just do it. Probably one of the best slogans ever because it really is that simple. Just do it. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy because a lot of times you're not going to feel like doing it, but you have to force yourself to do it. Reminding yourself that you're always in control. You have the final say as to whether or not you get to do that thing or not that you set on paper and you made a commitment to follow through. It is never too late. So let's recap. Identify three big goals. Keep it super simple. We don't want to overcomplicate it, and we don't want to set 10 plus goals where you feel overwhelmed. You want to set yourself up for success by keeping it simple. So, three big goals to accomplish in the next 6 months. Identify potential barriers that could get in your way and prevent you from moving forward. Identify your plan for overcoming those barriers and decide what your level of accountability will be. That is most important. And then finally, you got to get started on it. You do it, you follow through. It's time to execute. Just do it. Okay. So, what else do I want to add? I encourage you to stay committed. Um, Setting goals and writing it down on paper and making plans for it is probably the easiest part of the process. It can be really fun. You can get really creative with it. But when it's time to put your foot to the ground and follow through, it can be challenging. In fact, probably most times when it's time for you to get going on whatever that goal is, you won't feel like doing it more than likely. However, we don't want to be driven by how you feel when it's time to execute, right? We want to be driven by principle. And the principle, you decide what principles you live by, but we want to follow through on the principle of commitment, right? Once we've committed, we want to follow through and follow our word so that we practice trusting ourselves and trusting in taking our own word, right? So follow through. I do want to leave you with just one quick example. This is the easiest example, and I think one of the most universal examples is losing weight. That's an easy one, and I know that's definitely one that I have practiced throughout the years. So let's say I establish a goal of losing 10 pounds. Again, let's keep it super simple. I decide I want to lose 10 pounds. What is a potential barrier? For me, a potential barrier is if I keep chocolate ice cream and chocolate chip cookies in my refrigerator. I already know it doesn't matter how committed I am. If I know I have some kind of chocolate in the cabinets or in my refrigerator, I eventually will stumble. So that is a potential barrier because I know myself and I can be honest enough to say I have a weakness for chocolate. And at some point, when I'm feeling weak and I may be feeling emotional or something may have occurred that day, I'm running to the chocolate, right? So, what is my plan to overcome that barrier? Remove the chocolate from the house, period. I cannot have it hidden somewhere in a drawer. I cannot have it put away under something where I can't see it. No, it needs to be out of the house. So I clear out all of the chocolate from the refrigerator, from the cabinets, from the drawers, wherever. Any foods that I know will be tempting for me are removed from the house. So that is my plan for removing or overcoming any potential barriers. My accountability piece is I love writing down my goals. It really does help me to stay accountable. So I'll write my goals either on my bathroom mirror through with post-it notes, or sometimes I'll write, like I said earlier, a big poster sheet on the wall, and I'll write what my goals are with thick markers, and I color it up, and I have a lot of fun with it. You can really get creative with it. That's my personal accountability piece. Sometimes I'll join communities and groups depending on what it is, if it's helpful to me. So I do encourage you to have at least two accountability pieces where you have one within yourself where you're writing down your goals, and then the second piece being outside of yourself where you're bringing someone else along with you, whether it's through a community or with a friend as well. Okay, I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you next time.